Ladies and gentlemen, please let me introduce myself. My name is Astri Megatari, and I will be the master of ceremony for the second session. We are opening today's second session with the big theme, Technology Supervision Now and Future, Fintech 360, Digital Banking, and beyond. This session will be moderated by the Head of Digital Finance Innovation Group, Bapak Triyono. Please welcome Bapak Triyono.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, Astri, for introducing me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this very interesting session this afternoon. And all the panelists are already here. Pak Juda Agung and Pak Imansyah, and certainly Pak Rajiv and also Pak Armand. There are very capable resources and also experts, I guess. So we are going to have a very interesting discussion indeed, because they come from different background. Pak Juda and Pak Imansyah are regulators, and certainly Pak Rajiv representing the newcomers. So he comes from the Fintech, and also right, Armand comes from the banking sector. So this is going to be a very interesting discussion, because of two views and also two different backgrounds would discuss about what will be in the future. Certainly it's about their future business. And I would also would like to welcome all the participants who are interested in these topics. I guess, again, we are in the same boat. We are looking for something new and what will be happening in the future. This is very interesting, because knowing the future is always intriguing, and also we are very provoked to know about what will be in the future. Concerning the very limited time, we only have 1 hour, so I have to divide it into four segments. The first would be the presentation from Pak Juda Agung. The second presentation from Pak Imansyah. So those are again about the background of regulators. So we are going to know what are the visions from the regulators about the future of finance. And the third presentation would be done by Pak Armand. Pak Armand is also the contender, if I may say, of the banking sector. And then the fourth presentation will be done by Pak Rajiv. So without further ado, I would like to invite Pak Juda to do the presentation. But please, before Pak Juda giving the presentation, let me read his short CV. So Pak Juda Agung is the Assistant Governor of Bank Indonesia, and now is heading the Macroprudential Policy Department. So certainly this is very high related to the financial sector. And previously, as a board member of IMF, Executive Director for Southeast Asia Working Group, and has been involved also in the Monetary Policy Department in Bank Indonesia. Pak Juda obtained a PhD in economics from the Bremen University in 1999. So again, without further ado, I would like to invite Pak Juda to give his presentation. Please, Pak Juda, the time is yours now.
Thank you, Pak Triyono, Pak Imansyah, Pak Armand, Pak Rajiv, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Very good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning.
Allow me to convey my appreciation to organizer for arranging this event. as avenue to discuss the influence of technology on the banking industry and how to respond to changing competition environment and business model that have reshaped the financial landscape going forward. These changing are further accelerated during COVID-19 pandemic to respond potential and challenges that we have to embrace and resolve in the new normal situation. Ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 is indeed unexpectedly serve as momentum to accelerate the growth of digital economy in Indonesia. The large-scale physical distancing and social restriction have promoted more widely public acceptance toward digitalization and in economic and financial transaction. The public acceptance of the use of e-commerce during the COVID-19 has driven the transaction growth through the platform. The COVID-19 pandemic can be viewed as a catalyst for the use of contactless payment and other contactless activities. Furthermore, the market of digital payment continues to grow after growing rapidly around 20% in the last 2 years, 2018 and 2019. The digital payment is projected to continue to grow. In the midst of the economic contraction, the adoption of digital technology by players in the financial sector and non-financial sectors has served opportunity for them as a growth engine to promote the economic growth. In today's digital era, we notice the competitive landscape has changed, most notably in the financial sectors. The role of fintech is increasingly prominent, and at the same time, the industrial structure of this sector has changed from startup to large scale and global technology companies, big tech, supported by the expansion of its end-to-end ecosystem. In Indonesia, the landscape in the financial sector, especially in the payment system area, has also changed. Currently, 5 out of 10 issuers in the payment system instrument with the highest transaction volume in Indonesia are fintech companies. Something that 5 years ago it was unimaginable for us. In retail payment sectors, the portion of the retail transaction volume for electronic money has grown significantly from 9.8% in 2015 to 40.7% in 2019. And the share of non-bank transaction volume also increased substantially from 1.5% in 2015 to 24.7% in 2019. So the trend on digital banking is increasing, certainly, driven by a change in the consumer behavior. So the global disruption due to the presence of fintech and techfin has forced traditional banks transform digitally. The IT budget allocation by global banks has also increased to 297 billion, 40% increase year on year, and mobile banking segment is also expected to continue until 2024. The 2 decades ago, we heard a statement saying that banking is necessary, banks are not. And the recent development that saw the growing presence of non-bank players offering product and services traditionally provided by bank reminded us with such statement. The statement should be seen as a hard reminder for the banking industry to adapt with the changing environment where proliferation of new technology-enabled business models emerge considerably. To accommodate better customer experience and to survive in competitive environment, the banking mindset in innovating and creating financial products and services must change by prioritizing consumers and customers. The flow of economic and financial digitalization requires banks to transform to maintain their roles and position as the central intermediary institution in the financial system, as well as from central bank point of view as intermediate or transmission of monetary policy. The increasing role of non-bank in financial sectors has demanded traditional banks to transform digitally end-to-end to maintain their competitiveness. Digital transformation requires banks to be able to adjust business models, organizational structures, work culture, and of course, infrastructure. This will determine how far the bank go digital. Ladies and gentlemen, approach pursued by regulators would determine the direction and perimeters of digital banking within the regulatory framework. The policy challenge for financial authorities in digital era, especially for central bank, is how to strike the balance between harnessing the digital opportunities for innovation and mitigating the risk of financial stability. From Bank Indonesia's perspective, BI has formulated, as you may know, the Indonesia Payment System Blueprint 2025, which is fully oriented toward building a sound economic ecosystem to guide digital economic and financial development in Indonesia. The 5 vision of Indonesian payment system for 2025 were formulated as the end state target of Bank Indonesia policy direction. The 5 vision of Payment System Blueprint 2025 consists of the integration of national digital and finance, digital transformation within the banking industry, interlink between fintech and banks, balance between innovation and consumer protection, integrity and stability, as well as fair business competition and of course the national interest of cross-border digital economy and finance. The vision in the Indonesian Payment System Blueprint 2025 is implemented through 5 main initiatives. First, on the open banking, open API. Second, retail payment system. Third, financial market infrastructures. Fourth, data, and fifth, regulatory reform and regulatory structures that are adaptive to development of innovation. The initiative on open banking is the manifestation of the second and third vision of the blueprint. In the second vision, we acknowledge the importance of digital transformation by banking industry to respond to accelerated technology advances on the data and analytics capabilities.
Posisinya di meja apa duduk aja, Mbak? Ada kursi? Beda-beda itu. Enggak, maksudnya ada sofa aja ya?
Di panggung, nanti ada panggung kecil, nanti di situ ada sofa sama sofa single ya.
Berarti saya nggak lihat komputer kan, Mas ya?
Nanti disediakan TV Pak di dekat Bapak, jadi Bapak bisa lihat.
Okay, let me continue my presentation. In the third vision, we acknowledge the role of fintech as a new player in the financial sector, and we support the collaboration between fintech and banks to create sound economy and financial inclusion. These two vision 1, 2, and 3, acknowledge that the future financial industry is potentially shaped by convergence of financial service provision by banks and new players such as fintech. In this regard, the presence of a fintech would be beneficial for banks to maintain their agility efficiently amid technological innovation that swift in the shorter cycle. Conversely, fintech may leverage bank customer data to strengthen the quality of services to customer. The path of digital transformation by banking industry is now also carried out through collaboration of banks and fintech in various business lines. Collaboration between banks and fintech will be essential for the future banking. The result of survey by the Euro Banking Association, for example, said that 80% of banking executives consider collaboration with fintech as the best strategy in carrying out digital transformation. Nevertheless, the interlink will only occur if each party is willing to cooperate and collaborate, such as through the use of an API technology in open banking. A digital transformation of banking industry in Indonesia is underway. However, it is necessary to accelerate the pursuit of increasingly high consumer demand. The result of BI assessment in 2019 showed that the several banks in Indonesia has begun to transform digitally to strengthen the competitiveness and services to their customer. The growth of digital banking is characterized by exponential increase in mobile banking segment, especially in the three biggest banks in Indonesia, BCI, BRI, and Mandiri, not to mention digital banking services offered by smaller banks. Foreign affiliated banks are also generally more progressive in their transformation, on par with non-bank players that are commonly superior in adopting digital technology. Likewise, several large banks put major commitment on digital transformation. Open banking is one pillar development toward the transformation to digital banking. The question is why open banking is needed. There are several factors contribute to this demand of the open banking, open API. First, the change in customers' preferences from traditional financial services to digital. Second, development of smart digital platform era that changed the service business models and financial sector industry. Increase in the reliance on internet network, rising of new generation after the millennial generation. The speed of communication and transaction demand not only within the countries but also across countries. And of course, the accelerated and fast development of technology, the presence of fintech and techfin as competitors that force banks to change their traditional services. The Open Banking Initiative aims to encourage digital transformation in banking to ensure banks remain a primary institution in digital financial economy due to its vital role as the central intermediary institution in financial system as well as for the transmission of monetary policy. To promote open banking implementation in the payment system area, Bank Indonesia carries out this initiative through open API standardization. The objective are to increase efficiency in payment transaction, to increase innovation and competition, to increase financial inclusion, to reduce shadow banking risk, and to mitigate risk through standard implementation. The standardization will include data, second, technical standard, security standard, and a governance standard. The journey to establish open API standard for payment has begun when Bank Indonesia issued consultative paper on the standard to obtain inputs and opinion from industry and public to the proposal. Currently, we are working with industry in developing the technical guidelines of the proposed standard. This work is carried out by national working group that comprise of industry representatives and led by ASPI, Indonesian Payment System Association. It is expected that the next year we will introduce the standard and its technical guidelines to industry to enter new stage of our milestone, namely preparation and implementation phase. The implementation of the standard will mark an important step toward open banking in the payment area as the payment system providers at the front end side will required to apply the open API standards, hence ensuring a better level of playing field and facilitating easier interconnection among the open API payment providers and users that join the open API payment ecosystem. Aligned with the vision of Indonesia Payment System Blueprint 2025, the implementation of the standard will promote interlinkage between banks and fintech that will serve as a very important pillar and carry out digital transformation in the banking industry. Ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 pandemic has taught and has been the catalyst for the banking industry regarding the importance of to embrace the digital innovation. And we are in Bank Indonesia and also industry is trying to accelerate the implementation of the payment system payment system blueprint, and one of the first in the implementation of the blueprint is standardization of open API for the payment through the collaborative and synergy with the industry, and finally, hopefully the standardization will support the digital financial economy through interlinkage between banks and fintech to improve payment system efficiently, and in turn will encourage financial inclusion because we will have a bunch of data that can be used by the industry. Well, I stop here. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you very much for the presentation, Pak Juda Agung. Very insightful indeed, and I think you have to. I believe that you have to leave. So, actually, I have some questions for you, but since the limited time, and I think we can discuss it later. The key point that I took from your presentation is that there should be a collaboration between fintech and banking sector. So, this is a very, very important takeaway, and we would like to discuss it further with our other panelists. So for the second presentation, I would like to ask Pak Imansyah to do the presentation. Please make it brief, Pak. I know this is unfair, but since the time is limited for us.
I do realize the time allocated.
Yeah, certainly, Pak. Yeah, I think 10 minutes for Pak Imansyah to do the presentation.
Sure.
But before that, let me read the CV of Pak Imansyah. Pak Imansyah is working with the OJK, the Indonesia Financial Service Authority, since 2013. Now, certainly, Pak Imansyah is the Deputy Commissioner of OJK Institute and Digital Finance Indonesian FSA. He has been working in several departments in Bank Indonesia and also in OJK. So I believe, again, Pak Imansyah will be very competent person to talk about what will be the strategy of financial sector regulation in the future concerning the banking and also the fintech development in the market. So, Pak Imansyah, please, the time is yours.
Thank you, Pak Triyono. And also thank you for the time and opportunity for me to share ideas and insight under the title of this digital banking and beyond. So I think this is a good opportunity for OJK as well to share some insight and also some perspective on how we see the banking industry in the future, take into account the development and the progress of IT adoption in the industry. So, but I have prepared, and my colleagues already prepared the presentation in English, but I will do the presentation in hybrid way as I promised before, just to make sure that I deliver a very informative ideas and also be well understood by the participants. So with that thought, I think I hope that I can still cover all the ideas behind and the background as well. So then hopefully then we can even elaborate also further ideas, further issues within the Q&A session. So I think it's also a good opportunity for me to meet Pak Rajiv. This is the first time I meet Pak Rajiv and also Pak Armand from the
BCA.
Pak Armand from BCA. It's also a good opportunity. So it is a good collaboration. Actually, we have these regulators both in payment system as well and in the banking sector and also in the financial sector. And also from the players from the industry, Pak Rajiv as well as Pak Armand from BCA. I think I will cover not all of my presentations. Mungkin hanya beberapa slide saja, Bapak Ibu sekalian. But mungkin saya bisa mulai dengan gambaran di slide nomor 12. Teman-teman bisa membantu saya mungkin slide nomor 12. Just untuk memberikan gambaran kepada Bapak Ibu sekalian peserta diskusi kita pada siang hari ini. Slide 12 paling tidak memberikan gambaran bagaimana teknologi sekarang sudah memberikan implikasi dampak terhadap pertumbuhan atau perkembangan industri perbankan nasional. Teman-teman mungkin bisa di slide 12. Mungkin bisa terlihat Bapak Ibu sekalian bagaimana perkembangan. We are not talking about the branch in terms of physical branches daripada perbankan kita. Jadi kalau kita bisa lihat Bapak Ibu sekalian, sepanjang tahun hingga sampai sekarang ini di 2000 datanya sampai dengan 2019 itu kita bisa lihat tren penurunan kantor bank, mungkin itu inline juga dengan penurunan jumlah kantor bank yang ada. Tetapi ini paling tidak sudah memberikan gambaran bahwa memang ke depan branches is not further issues for banks to penetrate or to have these financial inclusions dengan masyarakat, kepada masyarakat, atau offering financial services kepada masyarakat. Tetapi paling tidak bisa kelihatan bahwa itu nanti bisa di take over oleh teknologi. Dan itu bisa kelihatan dari kalau kita bicara masalah fisik dari kehadiran cabang bank di Indonesia, mungkin kita bisa lihat distribusinya secara lebih granular di beberapa pulau yang tersebar dari Jawa maupun sampai Papua. Tetapi paling tidak ketika jumlah bank itu atau kantor bank menurun, jumlah kantor cabang menurun, maka ada implikasinya in terms of efficiency. Dari operational cost daripada bank bisa ditekan, sehingga bisa juga memberikan dampak yang positif terhadap bagaimana tekanan yang mungkin terus berlanjut beberapa tahun. Saya selalu berhadapan dengan banyak penelitian terkait dengan bagaimana perbankan Indonesia bisa lebih efisien. Bagaimana perbankan Indonesia bisa menekan net interest margin-nya sehingga bisa compete dengan bank-bank, terutama bank dari luar negeri. Nah, Bapak Ibu sekalian bisa lihat juga di kiri bawah grafiknya itu adalah kita bisa lihat jumlah bank kita, branches, cabang bank di Indonesia 2015 sampai 2019. Pulau Jawa menempati urutan pertama yang jumlah kantor cabangnya menurun cukup drastis sekali, dan ini mungkin tidak lepas dari bagaimana infrastruktur yang sudah lebih settle di Pulau Jawa dibanding dengan beberapa daerah lain. Tetapi kita bisa melihat kalau dari sebelumnya pertumbuhan bank itu cabang bank terus meningkat, kita bisa melihat beberapa tahun terakhir ini trennya terus semakin berkurang. Kecuali mungkin memang yang dirasa oleh perbankan, nanti mungkin Pak Armand bisa menyampaikan bahwa memang masih diperlukan kehadiran dari fisik daripada perbankan. Di sisi lain kita bisa melihat bagaimana jumlah transaksi digital itu terus meningkat, trennya sangat positif. Incremental increasing number of transaction in digital banking as well as this transaction growth is quite positive as well. So that itu semua memberikan gambaran bahwa ada semacam substitusi sekarang dari fisik transaksi menjadi menggunakan teknologi informasi yang dilakukan secara digital. Jadi ini mungkin mengawali Bapak Ibu sekalian presentasi kami dalam konteks bagaimana kita melihat digital banking and beyond. Tetapi paling tidak tren yang ada sekarang adalah menjustify bahwa mengkonfirm bahwa memang pengaruhnya sudah terlihat. Bahkan sejak 2019 kita bisa lihat trennya itu, dan ini semakin terkonfirmasi lagi ketika COVID-19 kemudian memberikan dampak yang cukup severe terhadap industri, berbagai macam industri termasuk industri sektor jasa keuangan. Boleh kembali ke slide awal Bapak teman yang membantu. Nah, jadi kalau kita lihat ini digital era and beberapa issues-nya nanti kita bisa lihat sini Bapak Ibu sekalian. Tetapi sebelum masuk ke sini saya ingin mengatakan bahwa ada kalau saya membaca paparan dari Bank for International Settlement di tahun 2017 mereka mengatakan ada 5 skenario yang terkait dengan kehadiran daripada digital banking teknologi ini. Yang pertama adalah tentu incumbent banknya akan menggunakan teknologi. Itu sesuatu hal yang wajar untuk mengubah bisnis prosesnya mereka. Yang kedua adalah ada bank-bank baru yang memang dari awal sudah menggunakan teknologi. Kemudian yang ketiga adalah terjadi fragmented antara bank yang menggunakan teknologi dengan financial services yang memang sudah menggunakan juga fintech, financial technology. Kemudian yang skenario keempat itu adalah terkait dengan bagaimana bank sudah tidak relevan karena semuanya sudah dilakukan atau fungsi intermediary perbankan itu sudah dilakukan menggunakan teknologi. Kemudian yang kelima, ini yang sesuatu yang mungkin kita sekarang tidak tahu bagaimana nanti perkembangannya adalah potensi bahwa big tech companies itu yang prevail atau unggul terkait dengan bagaimana mereka mengoffer financial services kepada masyarakat. Jadi itu yang harus kita keep in mind bagaimana kita melihat kondisi sekarang, potretnya perbankan yang ada di khususnya di Indonesia, posisinya ada di mana, dan kemudian beberapa tahun ke depan apakah juga perbankan kemudian bisa tetap eksis atau kemudian juga harus berkolaborasi dengan big tech companies. Saya nggak tahu apakah karena sekarang sudah bicaranya big data, artificial intelligence, machine learning dan sebagainya. Dan saya juga bisa melihat trennya, bahkan mungkin Pak Armand nanti bisa mengatakan bagaimana BCA sudah mulai preparing itself to cope with the situation, acquiring one bank and then transform that particular bank into a digital bank. Ini sesuatu yang mungkin menarik juga nanti Pak Armand bisa mengelaborasi bahwa sudah lebih dini perbankan kita khususnya karena kita tahu perbankan itu ada 4 bukunya, di Indonesia ada 4 buku bank. Saya tidak tahu apakah nanti ke depan juga karena teknologi ini kemudian terjadi konsolidasi di antara 4 buku bank ini, sesuatu yang menarik juga untuk mungkin dikaji juga Bapak Ibu sekalian terkait dengan bagaimana kita mengklaster perbankan kita ke depan. Apakah kita nanti juga melihat bahwa ini nanti akan berdampak pada konsolidasi, bank-bank tidak lagi bisa mengatakan saya hanya stay di buku satu, tapi dia akan by nature itu akan tergerus dan akan harus melakukan konsolidasi supaya bisa mengadop teknologi. Karena teknologi bagaimanapun juga pasti akan lebih costly di awal, tentu dengan efisiensi di akhirnya, tetapi pasti lebih costly di awal. Nah, Bapak Ibu sekalian, lanjut mungkin.
Minutes, please.
Yes, I'll do. I keep my presentation very short.
Thank you very much, Bapak.
Jadi Bapak Ibu sekalian, ini mungkin jalur perjalanan kita dari yang sekarang ada, kemudian yang lalu yang sifatnya lebih banyak transaksinya dilakukan secara manual. Kalau kita ke bank kita nulis warkat, ada kehadiran cabang-cabang bank, tapi sekarang sudah mulai sedikit diwarnai dengan teknologi, tetapi ke depan semuanya mungkin sudah tadi yang disampaikan oleh Pak Juda Agung mungkin sudah bicaranya open platform foundations. Jadi ceritanya mengenai open API. Jadi ini sesuatu hal yang dan kita juga sangat apresiasi Bank Indonesia sudah mulai melangkah ke sana dan kita mungkin industri atau pemerintah regulator harus kolaborasi bagaimana kita bisa membantu Bank Indonesia untuk bisa melihat not only in the part of payment system but also in the other sector, in the other part of the financial sector here in Indonesia. So I think if you do it very comprehensively, there's a guidance for all of these the users of the digital transformation financial sector to be having a comprehensive and integrated ways to adopt in the future how we can have this in a better way that also bring a lot of benefits to the financial sector. Next. Lanjut. COVID-19 kemudian bagaimana impact-nya? Saya pikir semua orang sudah paham bagaimana dampaknya terhadap risiko kredit, terhadap risiko pasar maupun terhadap risiko likuiditas. Pemerintah, Bank Indonesia, OJK, bagian dari Komite Stabilitas Sektor Sistem Keuangan di Indonesia sudah melakukan banyak policy. Kita lihat juga, kita bisa melihat sekarang kalau sebelumnya pertumbuhan ekonomi minus kontraksi minus 5,32, sekarang di kuartal 3 minus 3,4 itu suatu pencapaian yang lebih baik dan mudah-mudahan nanti di akhir tahun di kuartal 4 pertumbuhan ekonomi tentu semua itu karena memang kolaborasi dan sinergi dari pemerintah maupun regulators untuk mengeluarkan policy-policy yang memang sangat berdampak positif untuk memitigasi dampak dari COVID-19. Tapi kita bisa tahu memang luar biasa dampak COVID-19 ini dibandingkan dengan kondisi yang sebelumnya. Berikutnya mungkin saya langsung saja Bapak Ibu sekalian di slide nomor sebentar. Nomor 7. Boleh nomor 7? Oke. Jadi kalau ingin menjadi bank yang unggul dalam konteks digitalisasi ini, maka tentu harus sudah mulai berpikir bank harus melakukan quantum leap. Tidak boleh lagi bank mengatakan saya lebih convenient, saya tetap dengan traditional bank. It's an old-fashioned perspective, and everybody must go into this new way of doing business and offering digitalization to the public. Lanjut, kami mungkin langsung saja ke Initiative and Regulatory Framework di slide nomor 13, Bapak Ibu sekalian, nanti kita bahas. Kami juga sudah melakukan beberapa comparison of digital bank settings di Singapura, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Korea, dan juga Inggris atau UK, dan itu semua memberikan gambaran kita semua punya policy yang berbeda-beda, tapi kita bisa kita tailor policy yang memang sangat fit dengan kondisi di Indonesia. Berikutnya yang terakhir, mungkin karena waktu yang sangat terbatas dan kita bisa elaborasi nanti di konteks Initiative and Regulatory Framework. Jadi saya mengatakan bahwa sekarang sudah saatnya tidak lagi bicara branch atau head office, tapi kita bicaranya bagaimana teknologi akan bisa memberikan lebih banyak benefit, tetapi kita juga tetap harus memberikan mitigasi. Apa mitigasinya adalah bahwa kita ada in the new frontier, bahwa tidak bisa dilepaskan ketika kita dapat sesuatu yang baru, risikonya juga bertambah. Tentu at the end of the day, we are very concerned with the financial system stability. As OJK mandate is maintaining financial system stability, as well as BI and other financial regulator di Indonesia. Karena itu, ketika kita bicara teknologi, kita bicara transformasi in the banking sector, going through into the digital banking, maka pengawas maupun industrinya harus siap dengan risiko-risiko yang mungkin ada. At the end of the day, not only financial stability is the issue, but also the customer protection will also another issues. Talking about tadi Pak Juda mengatakan bagaimana kita bicara data, bicara security dan sebagainya, itu area baru yang harus kita elaborasi ke depan terkait dengan digital banking. Jadi sesuatu yang berubah sangat fundamental tentu akan mengubah bisnis proses juga, baik itu di regulators maupun juga di pelaku, di industri, dan juga kepada masyarakat. Karena itu mungkin sebagai regulator di financial sector di Indonesia, OJK I think yesterday the chairman of OJK mentions about how we are providing the accommodative policies in terms how we are dealing with this digitalization or digital banking or technology or fintech here in the financial sector here in Indonesia. So we are having a sandbox, and we are going forward. We will raising the bar, the quality of our works, and how we are assessing all type of form of fintech here in Indonesia, as well as at the end of the day, we are still very concerned with this financial system stability as well as the customer protection. So I will stop here, Pak Triyono. I hope hopefully it's just like introductions for the participants for further issues, for further discussions, but very happy to take some question as well. Thank you, and I return to you, Pak Triyono. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Imansyah. As usual, Pak Imansyah always brings us enlightening and also very new information and the latest development on the regulatory area. So, if I may take several takeaways from Pak Imansyah's presentation, The most intriguing statement is that I would like to tweak a little bit the statement from the Bill Gates. Um, Banking is important, but branches are not. So this is very interesting thing, and this is the phenomena that is going on right now. And the second key is about how the strategy from banking, from the incumbent to beat the strike from the fintech business. The BIS mentioning about 5 strategies. And then the next point is about quantum leap. I'm very agree on this. I cannot agree more by Imansyah. It is time for bank to change dramatically. So by Imansyah mentioning about using the word of quantum leap. And the last point is about the readiness of supervisor. This is also very important. Unless we are going to have financial instability, this is the main concern from us, certainly. So thank you very much, Pak Imansyah, for a wonderful presentation. So the third presentation, maybe Rajiv, I'm so sorry, they have to invite Pak Armand first because of, you are the newcomers. It means that you come later also for the presentation. And then I would like to invite Pak Armand to make the presentation or maybe just a speech. It's up to you. Let me introduce Pak Armand. Pak Armand is the Deputy President Director of BCA since 2016 and was born in Semarang, 45 years old. And certainly Pak Armand has a careers in BCA. So I think and also have experiences in some various areas of works in BCA, including the domestic payment service, electronic banking service, and international banking service division. So we believe that Pak Armand is the technological architect in BCA, if I may say. Everybody mentioning about that as well, Pak Armand. So we are looking forward to hear your presentation. So the time is yours, Pak Armand.
Relevant to what's happening today. If you're not relevant anymore to what's happening, then surely someone else will replace you. I will share a bit what BCA has been doing and how we think, how we see, how we work with fintechs or any technology companies or any companies. How do you modernize a bank? How do you leapfrog a bank? For BCA, we have 3 initiatives. One is automation, integration, and analytics. And automation means we need to modernize whatever we have, all the banking processes, anything which is paper, which is still done manually, all has to be automated. So it will all become digital. Anything which can be integrated should be integrated. If we need to integrate with any company, fine, we'll prepare APIs. And all the data that pass through the system has to be analyzed. I'll give an example. These are the things happening in the branch. Yes, the number of transactions in the branch maybe not as much as before. It's not growing anymore, but it's still a lot. It's still a lot of transactions. We still need to automate them. You cannot just close down the branches. Then actually we will have problem of serving the clients. This is example. Our teller used to count money one by one. Now they have machines. People have to wait for customer service, wait in line. If you want to change your card, you want to get your card right now, if you go to a branch, you can actually take it from a machine. You can deposit your money on a machine. You can actually open accounts online with video banking. These are one way of digitizing a bank. Give example of how we integrate apps, the physical and the virtual. matter how digital we can be, there's still things that we still need to go to branch. You need to change your card, you need to get a card, you need to change your book. All can be done self-service. And our customer service actually have real-time visibility of what's happening with each client. So this digitization of the cash supply chain is something you can compare to what Amazon has been doing. You can order cash, you can order anything, it can be delivered right away. Then it's integration, it's API. Bank Indonesia, OJK has been talking about connecting everything API to connect everything. So we've been actually using API since 7 or 8 years ago. Ever since e-commerce company came out, Tokopedia, Blibli, Tiket, Traveloka, then Gojek, Grab, they all come up and they all want APIs, and we've been developing APIs. So our API business have been growing very well. We are connected to most e-commerce and any startup companies today. The point is because BCA is a bank, we're a banco. Banco means bench. We are only a bench. We are nothing without our ecosystem. We need to connect to our ecosystem. And API is the way to go to connect easier to everybody. I would show a short video of our business model. Our business model is all about ecosystem and is very similar to what this video is showing us.
Trees may look like solitary individuals, but the ground beneath our feet tells a different story. Trees are secretly talking, trading, and waging war on one another. They do this using a network of fungi that grow around and inside their roots. The fungi provide the trees with nutrients, and in return they receive sugars. But scientists have found this connection runs far deeper than first thought. By plugging into the fungal network, trees can share resources with each other. The system has been nicknamed the Wood Wide Web. It's thought that older trees, fondly known as mother trees, use this fungal network to supply shaded seedlings with sugars, giving them a better chance of survival. Those trees that are sick or dying may dump their resources into the network, which might then be used by healthier neighbours. Plants also use fungi to send messages to one another. If they're attacked, they can release chemical signals through their roots, which can warn their neighbours to raise their defences. But like our internet, the Wood Wide Web has its dark side too. Some orchids hack the system to steal resources from nearby trees. And other species, like the black walnut, spread toxic chemicals through the network to sabotage their rivals. Arboreal cybercrime aside, scientists are still debating why plants seem to behave in such an altruistic way. The hidden network creates a thriving community between individuals. When you're next in Woodland,
so this is BCA model, at least of banking, what banking model is. We're in a platform which connect everybody else, including startups. So many people ask me, what do you do with startup and fintechs? Are they competitor or are they customer? They're most of them are customers. We see them as customers, and it's our duty to grow our ecosystem. Of course, we need to do analytics. So because of the abundance of data that we have, make sure we use the data. Simple technology like facial biometrics can be used. AI can be used.
Namaku Vira.
NLP can be
Aku
used to
virtual
help
assistant
customers
chat
and
banking
operations.
BCA. Ini rumahku, handphonemu. Kamu bisa ke akun resmi Bank BCA di Line, Facebook Messenger, dan Kaskus Chat untuk ngobrol denganku. Aku punya informasi terkini dari BCA. Mulai dari beragam promo, lokasi ATM terdekat, sampai info kurs. Vira juga bisa bantu ajukan aplikasi kartu kredit dan KPR kamu. Selain itu, Vira bisa loh kasih kamu info transaksi. Daftar dulu.
Digitization can also be done in every line of business that you have. You can actually digitize everything that you have internally and externally. This is example what we do internally. And every innovation can actually be done very quickly because using new technologies as what the startup are using, we can actually develop everything very quickly in a very agile manner as well.
Excuse me, Pak Armand, the time is almost up, Pak.
Kenapa?
Waktunya tinggal 2 menit lagi.
Ya, thank you.
Oke.
Beribu hal baru harus kulalui, sampai kapankah semua ini? Mungkinkah ku bisa ambil uang tanpa kartu? bayar belanjaan tanpa saling sentuhan.
Pengen streaming konser metal. Mungkin dong kan pakai debit BCA, tapi jangan lupa aktivasi dulu. Mungkin dong kan pakai BCA mobile, kamu bisa ambil uang tanpa kartu. Biarlah hanya HP yang kau sentuh, bayar belanja tinggal scan QR aja. BCA mobile banyak mudahnya, kalau mau juga yuk buka rekeningnya aja.
So as a result, we have been transforming ourselves. We can produce more apps very quickly, features, products very quickly, whether it's to improve customer experience, customer acquisition, or to make our process more efficient. Number of transactions has been growing exponentially on mobile banking, while branch banking has been very flat, but they still play a very important role. We can see in the bottom right, the most important channel is already now mobile and internet. This increase is mainly also driven by a lot of technology companies, a lot of fintechs, and a lot of startup companies as well. Most of this transaction increase are also helped by companies like Ovo, Grab, Gojek, Tokopedia, Blibli, and any of the startup companies, actually, because they're all our customers. They're actually helping us grow our transactions as well. So we're an ecosystem. Result of automating, digitizing everything, yes, we can actually manage our operating expense at a very stable rate. And hopefully we can produce more apps, Tolak Miskin, which will help customers live better. And it's not about technology. It's about connectivity. It's about the mindset of being open. I don't want to call it open banking. I just want to call it open mind. Thank you.
Oke. Oh, Pak Armand, luar biasa, wonderful, Pak. The thing that I can say is wow, and congratulations that you have formulated a very, very wonderful strategy and very effective. You know, in my mind, I always think that the fintech will be the center of the ecosystem, but you change, you turn the word around, I guess, and you are going to make BCA as the center of the ecosystem. Oh, very, very wonderful strategy, Pak. Terima kasih, Pak, for sharing with us. And the last but not least, I would like to invite Pak Rajiv, Chandna, for the presentation. And before Pak Rajiv going to deliver the presentation, let me read his brief CV. Pak Rajiv Chandna is the Chief Commercial Officer at OVO, and is responsible for a brand new business of insurance, wealth, and alternative credit scoring. So the OVO strategy is providing banking service in Indonesia, leading payments, rewards, and finance system service platform. Before joining OVO, Pak Rajiv joined a very big technological company and also as a business development strategy at Grab as well. So without further ado, I would like to invite Pak Rajiv to deliver the presentation. Please, Pak Rajiv.
Thank you, Pak Triyono, and selamat siang, Pak Imansyah, Pak Armand. It's a huge honor for me to be on this stage with everyone and to share some of our perspective as OVO, and certainly my personal story on why I feel passionately about digital banking as a source for driving financial inclusion. I am originally from India. I've lived in the Netherlands and Holland for many years. I've lived in the UK, I lived in Singapore, and now I live in Indonesia. And I have to say, the thing that I picked about Indonesia more than any other place is that it has the friendliest people in the world, but it has also the most demanding consumer on this planet. So if I look at Grab, which was my previous employer, or if I look at Tokopedia as an e-commerce experience, transport, e-commerce, everything is better in Indonesia than it is anywhere else. Even in market like Singapore, which is so small, where I used to live before, same-day delivery for e-commerce is still not a reality. While if you live in any of the big cities in Indonesia, that's something that you just expect to be true for yourself every day. And this is incredible because actually, perhaps the one area where I think that huge revolution to deliver demanding consumers is still to come is within the space of banking. And I mean, I think, Triyono, when you started the presentation, this session today, you rightly said, this isn't about banks, this is about the services. And maybe I'll take that even a bit further, that actually people just want to live their lives. And financial services very often get in the way of people living their lives. People don't want to take a loan. People want to own a house. They want to own a car. They want to have a motorbike. They want to send their kids to a school. What they don't want is a loan. Loan is something that just helps them. But actually, today's financial services sector, not just in Indonesia, but in many parts of the world, isn't set up to be a part of people's life and how they want to live. So maybe if it is okay, I will share the screen, if that's okay, because I'll go very fast and
Yes,
I'll skip
certainly.
many slides.
Certainly, Pak, please.
As a lot of the information is already presented. Maybe that's easier if I could share my screen. Otherwise, it's okay. We can continue this way.
Certainly, I think you can navigate the screen by yourself. Is it?
Currently not able to, but it's okay. Let's if it is okay. Oh, there we go. There we go. Thank you very much. So maybe I start with this particular slide, and I mean, this presented earlier with Pak Juda. He talked about how quickly and how fast the payment systems have grown in Indonesia. I mean, 5 years ago, it was all about banks. As of today, when BI shared their latest results, the two of the largest electronic money providers or electronic funds provider is now wallets. OVO is number one. And that's a huge change. This is about adaptation to what's happening in the economy. And this isn't just limited to payments. Of course, even within banking, more and more consumers are much more comfortable doing now basic activities without ever having to interact in a branch. And of course, this is the Tokopedia effect, the Grab effect. I want it now, I want it here, and I can't believe it's not already done. And this is the behavior that we think is also coming into the world of banking. To some of the points that Pak Armand made earlier, this isn't about branches disappearing. Branches are still important. The face-to-face, the human interaction is still really important. When it comes to a really big decision that people want to take, 50% of the Indonesians don't want to do that without walking into a branch, without having that conversation, looking into the eye of an advisor who tells them what the right answer is. But perhaps the most important thing in all of this is, what do our consumers want? So Ibu Ruri is a good example of an OVO consumer who we support. She's a good example of somebody who's underbanked and underserved in Indonesia. She's a good example of someone who's never had access to a formalized loan facility. Is also a good example of somebody who doesn't have an insurance product or isn't protecting herself with investment products to protect and plan for their future. And the reason in particular I choose this picture is because it's actually not very far from how my mother is. I grew up in Delhi in India, and even though I've lived abroad for many years, my parents are still there. And when I think about my parents, I think about the fact that up until very recently, they'd never had any kind of insurance to protect them. Of course, they had a bank account, but having a bank account is not financial inclusion. Bank account, sure, digital banking would help them check their balance, but is the bank, or even more so the financial services industry, creating investment products, creating insurance products that allow them to protect themselves? And I'm so grateful to God that, they had protection that they got for themselves last year. So when the coronavirus hit, and as you all know, Delhi is one of the worst affected cities in the world. I'm so grateful that they have that protection, that I have the sense that they are protected. But I meet customers of OVO, such as Ibururi, very often just to understand what is going on in their life, what they need to really drive financial inclusion. Because like you said earlier, Triyono, this isn't about banks. This isn't even about companies. This is about what will these individuals do, and what will this new digital technology do for them. There was a really great example of you know uh, agent model talking about if you could buy a rice cooker on an e-commerce site versus having to go to a shop, an e-commerce site might be able to give that to you at 30-40% cheaper. How do we bring that notion to financial services? How do we enable people like my parents, that they don't have to wait till they're 70 years old to buy their first insurance product? How do we give them the ability to buy that product when they're 40, 45? How do we give them the ability to buy investments? And I think really this isn't about digital banking or banking. This is about really taking the step to go deep into financial services and providing products that consumers will love. And I'm fully aligned with Armand when he says, uh, there's this survey about how do banks think about fintech. And as you can see, most banks think fintech companies are indeed possible collaborators. Some think they're a threat. Some think that they're a great acquisition opportunity for them. But I agree with Armand. This is about an ecosystem. We all have to play a role. But what we have to do, before we are regulators, before we are senior company executives, we have to be human beings. And we have to think about what does that person who owns that bar room, who has 2 kids, and they want to make sure that they go to school, and if, God forbid, something bad happens to them, how will they protect themselves? Do we have an insurance product? Do we have an investment product? Do we have a bank account capability that really serves them? So perhaps, I'll stop here, and I'll definitely say that being in Indonesia is one of the most exciting things I have ever done. And to take this challenge of being part of this financial inclusion story with yourself, Triyono, Imansyah. Triyono, I've met you now many times, and I know that you're a big believer in driving financial inclusion. So I'm very grateful to be on this journey with the regulators, with BCA, who's always a strong partner with us at OVO. So I'm very grateful, and I know that this is going to be a long journey. And my Bahasa teacher in Indonesia told me about this saying when I was learning Bahasa, berakit-rakit ke hulu, berenang-renang ke tepian, which I think also applies to this journey of driving digital economy in Indonesia in financial services, because it's a long road ahead, and we all have to swim in the same direction before we get to our destination. So with that, I'll stop, and I'll say thank you very much again for inviting me and OVO to share our perspective.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Rajiv. Congratulations on your bahasa capability. I always criticize your bahasa, when we meet, but I think you improve a lot. Okay, the second congratulations for you is about the OVO achievement. I guess it is a very remarkable achievement, and you also introduced the more humanized financial services. I guess it is very true, and you also mentioning about reaching out into the more unbankable people. So I think I believe that the first contact from these unbankable people is to fintech, and second would be after they graduated from fintech, so they will then reach out to Pa Armand. Okay, thank you so very much for brief presentation, but very useful and also informative. And previously, I would like to make a session for Q&A, but unfortunately, we are way behind the schedule, and certainly there will be another session or another session for the breakout session in this FinTech Summit. So unfortunately, I could not take your questions. Please, if there are questions to all the panelists, I think you can send the email to OJK or to the organizing committee. Maybe we are going to give you the information later on. Okay, before I close this session, I would like to thank the panelists, Pak Juda, who has been leading the session, and certainly Pak Imansyah, Pak Armand, and also Rajiv. Thank you very much for your insightful presentation, and wow, very, very, very insightful and also informative. I guess this is a new things and a lot of things to that we can learn from your insights. So again, thank you very much, and I would like to also thank all the participants in this session. Again, forgive me that I could not conduct Q&A because of the time that we have very limited. So with this, I would like to close the session with Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a good day, and again, big thanks from the organizing committee to all the participants and panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Pak Rajiv. Thank you, Pak Armand.
Thank you, Pak Rajiv. Thank you, Pak Armand.
Thank
Thank you, Pak
you.
Iman.
Thank you, Pak Armand.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you
Pak Imansyah.
semuanya. Thank you, Pak Iman.